I think it actually went a little bit differently than that. I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here. I feel like you told me one day, you got to check out this new gun I got. This podcast is brought to you by Creekside Wildlife, specializing in food plotting and habitat management for deer and turkey hunting. If you're ready to get started on improving your property to hold more game, then it's time to contact Creekside Wildlife. Check them out on Facebook and Instagram at Creekside Wildlife.
All right.
AKA my basement.
That works too.
And we had to get through some intros and some other stuff, but we're finally ready to talk about.
And we hit the record button.
Yeah.
We are above it all.
We're
now.
like almost professionals.
Yeah, stand back.
We're like Whitetail Distraction, Rutten River. Like we're almost
who are they?
as good as them.
Yeah, they remember that stuff on the first time.
Yeah.
Come on now. This is what it's all about.
Yeah. What would Charles and Will do? That's what I always try to ask, and I live my life by that.
Dude, you can't make those gummy bracelets out of that. There's too many letters. Like the WW stuff,
That's too.
Yeah, you can't. It's
that's
too many. It's too many letters.
It'd have to be like a necklace.
Yeah. Who's wearing that?
I don't know.
Not
Mr.
me.
T.
Mr. T. Nice. That's a throwback from a long time ago.
You're impressed I even knew that.
I was like, I can't believe you just said that.
All right, enough of that. I want to talk about turkeys.
It is that time. It is that time.
Yep. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I can gladly say that I'm the novice to this. I am completely, I would say in the past 3 years, literally just thought, you know what? I need to do something in spring. I'm going to try this. Mike just talks up and down.
Yeah.
His dad just, him and his dad, Bobby, they're all about this stuff. I'm like, I got to get in the woods and see what this is all about.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Listen.
So I think it actually went a little bit differently than that. I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, I feel like you told me one day, you got to check out this new gun I got.
Oh,
and I'm thinking, all right, what did he buy now?
Yeah.
And I come out and you pull out this Super Black Eagle 3.
And you're like, what are you doing with that? I'm like, I don't know.
I knew what they were. I mean, but for someone that didn't waterfowl or turkey hunt or shoot anything with a shotgun that I knew of, for that matter, I looked at Trent and we were kind of just like, what is this guy's deal? Why do you have, one of the top turkey hunting weapons or waterfowl weapons, arguably in the world? And I thought maybe he's going to start.
Here we are.
And now you're a turkey hunter.
I guess it's kind of it's no different than saying, hey, I'm not going to go to, dabble a toe in the water. Just jump in, man.
Oh, yeah,
just
exactly.
jump in.
Yep.
Just jump in, both feet, cannonball that stuff,
You got to look the part before you can play it, right?
Well, let me tell you, that's I don't know. It is what it is to me, but in the same sense, then I started talking to people, and they're like, oh, you got to try this. You got to do these choke tubes. You got to do this and that. And I'm like, before I knew it, I was like, okay, let's get a bird in front of me first.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Yep.
Before I get too wound up, let me miss one once.
Yeah.
Let me try that. I even
once,
dude, I haven't taken. I've had.
That's how I know you haven't been turkey
No
hunting
kidding.
that long.
No kidding. Right? I have not taken that gun off safety yet.
Yeah.
I haven't. I haven't even been able to.
We'll have to change that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've went with people and they've shot at turkey. They've missed. Right.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different subject.
Yep.
But no, it's one of them things that's. I tell you, once you do it, and then you think, it's almost like the first day of archery season. For PA. It's like. It's the anticipation, Listen, man, I can't sleep the night before. I'm like just amping around. I mean, I'm just, just all about it. Got everything laid out. This, there, and the other. But I grew up, of course, like I said, Mike's dad, Bobby. Killing turkeys all the time. Legend himself, John Robley. Growing up around those guys, and Mike. Mike Robley and everybody. Growing up around seeing all this take place, I don't know why I never did it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea why I never did it, because let me tell you what, I've gotten into it now, and it's definitely, it's a consumable. It will just swallow you up, and it's and Pennsylvania is that lovely state that only allows you to hunt till noon, though.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
Well,
like
for first half
for the
of the
first
season.
for first half.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it is just like you sit down on a bird, you set up, and it's not happening. Man, okay, get up, go.
Yep.
Got to do something else, you
Yep.
know. And it's not the sit there for 4 hours in one tree stand like deer hunting is, you
Yeah.
know, and this and that till it's dark, you know, this and that.
Yep.
It's a run, it's a gun, it's an action, it's a move, it's a this, it's a that, and it's so much like chess. You
Yeah.
know, it's an active reaction to everything moving, and it's.
Yep.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I don't play chess either. So, but I'm here to tell you, if
Nope.
chess is like turkey hunting, maybe I should try it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I haven't been successful, but man, I've got
Yep.
close.
Oh, yeah.
I've definitely got close.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a learning experience.
Oh yeah.
Every year, every
when
person.
you quit learning, you might as well give it up.
That's
I
right.
mean,
That's right.
You know, every year we learn something new about it. You know, even hunting the same property.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been hunting, you know, a lot of the same properties around where we live since I was, you know, 8, 9 years old, not even able to carry a gun, and we still learn something new about how those turkeys act every year, and it's just, you know, the adapting to the changing conditions is, you know, part of the fun of it. I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely it's one of those like you said, it's an adaptive thing. You know, it's like there's not one, hey, I'm going to go sit here and I'm going to wait for the birds.
Yep.
You can do that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
Yep.
I mean, by all means. Man, you want to have a good time?
Yeah.
Just start walking.
I'm not
Start
patient enough for that.
No.
Yeah.
I know those birds can, you know, it's like walking down the street. Do you want to go turn left at this stop sign? You want to go
Yep.
right? You know, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, the birds are the same way. They come off that roost.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
want to go to that field? Do you want to go to this point? You want to go to
Mhm.
the creek? They just soar a little different way, you
Yep.
know, and you just got to be able to react, you know, and it's
Yeah.
that's why I said that the winter time is when it sucks because, man, you sit around and do nothing all winter and you put
Oh,
on
yeah.
some pounds. Everybody does it. Everybody
Yeah.
likes ice cream, you know, all that good stuff, you know, sit
Yep.
around and, you know, let it snow outside. It's nice and warm in here.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? When it turns around turkey season, you're going to hate yourself.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's definitely one of them things. I've been trying real hard, but
Yeah.
with kids in the house, let me tell you, it's not easy
Yeah.
because let's have some ice cream, and it's like, well, I'm not going to dip ice cream for them, and not,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's
Yep.
it is what it is, yeah.
Well, we talked on another episode about me hand seeding all my food
Yeah,
plots,
yeah.
so that's my springtime exercise.
There's your
a little
cardio,
bit.
right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Got to get out there and, you know, brush some ticks around. So, but, you know, back to you'd mentioned there about only being able to hunt till noon.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just go through and, you know, tell a few turkey stories.
Oh yeah.
That's always a good time.
Listen, the last 2 minutes.
Yep.
I swear to God, as I stand here today, I'm sitting.
Yeah.
As I'm here today, the last 2 minutes of that till noon, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, how many times have you had it come down right to them, and
Yep.
you're just like, you just want it to happen, and you got to get up and walk away.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's incredible. It's
Yep.
completely incredible.
Yep. I used to never like that time frame. Even so, my very first turkey I ever killed. I'm gonna scroll through here and see if I can find this gem of a photo. My very first turkey, I was 16, I believe, or no, I lied. I think I was 12. Yeah, definitely. When you see this picture, you'll realize that was
16
stupid.
or
There's
12?
no-
That's
there's
only
no way.
been.
Well,
I
I've
don't
looked
know
the
how
same
mu-
since I was
I was
8.
gonna
so.
say. I was gonna say. What the
I
heck?
have the same beard as I have since I was 8, so I'm not going to be very good at finding it here. But anyhow, my very first turkey that I killed, it was back when you could only hunt till noon the entire season.
Oh really?
Yeah. Actually, you probably heard the shot from your house.
Oh really?
I was right behind Marshall Lighty's.
Oh okay.
That
Yeah.
little fence row back behind his house. And we saw that bird at 11 o'clock, I think, straight behind his house. And that little fence row runs back, and then there's a little roll in the field. He was on this side of towards the road from that. And, you know, Dad and I were like, what in the world are we going to do with that thing? Like, how are we going to get, you know, he had 5 hens with him last day of the season. 11 o'clock, we have an hour. And we went back and down the ridge road,
Came up over the ridge from
came
there?
up over and got to the edge of the field. Luckily, his field kind of does, a little roll deal. So they were on the side of that where we could crawl up to the fence row and get in position and set up and start calling.
Right. Timeout. Ladies and gentlemen, if people don't know, from where he said he saw this bird to the end of the ridge road is probably 2.5 miles. 2.5 miles back, a mile and a half walk over the ridge, back down. You're taking this to a different level, bud.
Oh, I had an hour left in the season.
Were you running the whole time?
I had not ever killed a turkey at this point. So Dad was like, let's go, And I was using, we didn't all just start with the lightest shotgun on the planet like you did. I'm looking here at my gun cabinet. I got, 100 years worth of old guns and stuff. I started with my Paps 410. Then I bumped up to the 20 gauge. And then I bumped up to the 1187 12 gauge, which I thought was the greatest gun on the planet, back then. And Dad still has it to this day, but holy smokes, I can't hardly lift that thing up now. I've been carrying Benelli's for so long. But so long story short, we get in position, and we don't really have anything to lose at this point. So Dad just starts getting, real aggressive on the calls. We're leaned up against a tree, and I remember we had an old barbed wire fence kind of running at an angle. So I kind of got my gun over one of the barbed wire strands, and he just starts yelping and clucking and, purring, just real aggressive. And because we kind of figured like we were in between the woods and the turkey, so most likely they got to come our way anyhow. So he gets to calling, and then we start hearing the hens, and they come over the hill, and for probably my first like really close, up close and aggressive, I guess, turkey encounter, I got to see and hear about every noise and everything that the turkey could do. We had hens. The hens came over. They started fighting with each other. One of them laid down and started dusting.
Really?
And I think the one laid down like she was, wanting to be bred.
Really?
And when all this started going on, we just, shut the calls off and just took the safe off and waited.
Right.
As soon as those hens came over the hill, and they were 25 yards in front of us, and it was a little bit of a delay, which seemed like it might have been like 5 minutes, but it was really like probably seconds that the longbeard didn't, follow right away. But then, sure enough, I can see him out of my peripheral here, and here comes his fan, and I can still remember shaking as much as, on that turkey, and just like your first deer. I've been lucky. I've shot tons of turkeys since then, and I can pick apart every detail of that turkey. Walking in, he got on the far side of the hens. He turned. The hens, fed away, and I shot him. Almost shot him right in the beard. Not ideal at all, and I don't know that my dad, I know now he doesn't move near this fast, but he got over that barbed wire like he was an Olympic hurdler and was on top of that turkey before those hens were even out of the field, I swear. But yeah, that was my first turkey, and it was 11:58 when I shot it.
No kidding.
We looked at our watch because that was pre-cell phones back then, and I had 2 minutes to spare on the last day of the season. So it's your stereotypical.
That's right.
Came down to the last day, last hour. But that's how that one went down. And
last year my buddy and I, Craig Fitzgerald, we were over on Tussey Mountain on Game Lands.
Yes.
And we were all the way on top. We were up there calling around. Didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
It was a nice day. We had windows down. We're coming down this old road, and we're going along and not even thinking about it. And he goes, "Hey, stop." And I'm like, I'm looking out the window going, "What'd you see?" He goes, "Listen." And I'm talking, that gobbler was right there.
Really?
And I'm like, "Is that a turkey?" He goes, "Yeah." So we back the truck up all the way back up to the top. We go running down the side of this mountain, get over the bank, and we're listening, trying to see where this guy's going to be at, what's he doing. Same deal. He's like, man, we got 11 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to make this happen. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you're gonna have to help out with this one.
Yeah.
I said, I don't even have a clue. He sets up away from me. I set up kind of where the bird was, and he's calling, and I'm kind of calling back and forth, with him and to him, and it's just all that, dude. I'm telling you, if this bird didn't gobble 300 times, he wasn't alive.
Yeah.
Just screaming, and I'm like,
Yep.
this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. And like you said, here it comes. Here comes the adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just hold yourself together, man. I'm like, you're a grown adult. Hold
Yeah.
yourself together, So we're sitting there, and sure enough, it didn't happen. That they came to a point and just quit.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't commit and come further, and the stuff was so thick we could hear them like they were
Yeah.
15 yards, 20 yards, but it was so thick,
Yeah.
and just they would go left to right and left to right and just
Yeah.
gobble like crazy. But same deal. When the time's time, 12 o'clock, and I'm like,
Yep.
kill it, man. We're
Oh,
done.
yeah.
And
And
it was so tough. It was so
anyone
tough.
that's been turkey hunting for a while can probably put themselves in your shoes where they have to sit there at 12:01 and listen to one just gobble his brains out.
It was tough. That was
and-
real tough. But hey, the experience was unreal.
Yep.
I mean, it was completely. I mean, and if honest to God, I would have drove that road without Craig with the windows down,
Yeah.
and if I wasn't in that passenger seat,
Mhm.
I'd never heard that bird.
Yeah.
I'd have never heard him.
Yep.
So it was just everything worked
Yeah.
up until we didn't shoot a bird.
Yep. And so these last two stories were, complete opposites in how they were. Like, so my first bird was in a field that we had hunted before. We were familiar with the turf. We kind of knew from the lay of the land what we thought the birds were going to do. And, that's definitely one way that we hunt a lot. But in the last few years, I've started hunting out of state a little more and going into some places, public places in the dark essentially. And when you roll into a place, for instance, Kentucky last year, my cousin Jordan and I went down there and he had been in this woods, but I never had. You go into a place in the dark and, you'll wait for that first gobble and you try to put a move on it. But then, you only have 3 or 4 days to hunt. You don't want to go tramping around that woods, to see what held him up or, why he didn't want to come around that turn or whatever. So it's interesting the differences from, hunting a place where you're familiar with to hunting a new place. And I'm starting to, become more interested in the foreign ground, that you've never been on.
Another challenge, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
another piece of the pie, I guess. But had I had 4 more days in Kentucky last year, I'm confident that I would have maybe been able to get a little closer. But I didn't kill a bird. I was the only person on that trip that didn't kill a bird, but I had them around me every day, and I was just as excited when I left there without a tag punched as the guys that did. I mean, every single day we were on birds, and I moved closer and closer every day, and like I said, not knowing the land until the very last day, it hit the quitting time, and I got up and finally took my little walk around the property.
That was Kentucky, like PA. Do they have a cutoff, like a lunchtime cutoff?
No.
Oh, so it's an all day.
Yeah, we were able to hunt all day that day.
Nice.
So the morning that I had to leave, though, I hunted till 10 o'clock, I believe, and then I knew that was, call or quits. I got to leave, get packed up to drive home, and I said, all right, I'm going to walk out there, and there was this kind of like maybe 5-acre area that was basically the far end of this public piece that I had been hunting the 4 days. And I said, I'm going out there to look, because every day something was in that area and I couldn't get it to come to me. And I thought, I'm going to go out there and look at that. And as soon as I got to it, boom, it was like, that's why he was here. And
What was it?
it just, not anything specific. It was just, we were back off of this point, and these birds were flying off of this point into the trees because it dropped down, pretty good. And in my experience, any time that a turkey can fly from, a flat
Mm-hmm.
and just basically jump right out into the trees, they love to do that. And then they were flying down into that bank every morning,
Really?
and then it was just this real open.
They just feel comfortable in there?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it just requires less energy.
God.
I mean,
Lazy as the rest of us, right?
I guess,
Yep.
So, um, it just, the flat that they were on, they were getting onto that and just, working that out around the ridge. And basically from not knowing that property, I just wasn't pushing my luck, and I kind of stayed back and, you know, took a less aggressive approach to it, I guess. You know, that being said, I feel like on a future hunt, I would maybe have that in my head and
Mm-hmm.
try to get a little more aggressive. But, every situation's different, and I knew the biggest thing I guess you could take from that is I knew where they were roosting.
Right.
And I didn't want to mess that up.
Sure.
Because when you know where he's sitting, that
Yeah.
makes at least you feel like you're in the game. I
A
mean,
little
clearly,
a little bit of control.
clearly I wasn't, because I mean I was in it, but I was
Right.
a spectator from a couple rows back.
Right. So
But-
this is a question I got for you. So, from a guy, I'll soak everything in. I'll
Mhm.
listen to you. People of senior status. We won't call them the OLD, right?
Senior or senior?
Senior. All of the above. How about that? So, like, they always say, hey, you wait for a bird to gobble first.
Mhm.
Or, nope, I want to make him gobble. Tell me where he's at.
Mhm.
That type of deal. I had this guy, and, there's there'll be a guy listening to this podcast, Mr. Mark Godfrey, you can attest to this. This gentleman that we hunted with at one time, I won't tell his name, but he had this Polaris Ranger, 6-wheel drive Polaris Ranger he reeled around his farm with, right? One day we were hanging tree stands, and, he's not a farmer. He's not a hunter. He's a farmer, this and that, He had an AR just to shoot coyotes with. That's about what he did, right? So I said one day, I'm like, hey, what's, I see you always got these 2x4s laying in the bed of your Ranger. What's this all about? He goes, oh, that's easy. He said, I reel up to the edge of this ravine here, and I just take them and I quack. He said, I clap them together. He said, turkeys tell me exactly where they're at. And I'm like, there is no way. There is no way in God's green earth that works.
Yeah.
So I called him out on it. He goes, next time we're out, he said, I'll show you.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, this guy's full of it to his eyeballs. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, this is a dude who rolled around in Crocs all of his life. And like, he has no idea. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm thinking, this isn't real. This can't happen. It works, dude. It works. Just that shock, of
yeah.
something odd in the woods.
Yep.
Turkeys go for it. And
Yep.
I stood there with my mouth on the forest floor, and I'm like,
Yeah.
of all people to try to tell me something, I'm listening. Hey, okay, I
Yeah.
learned something today.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had no idea. But
There's some weird ones that will gobble at every noise you make.
oh,
There was a spot that we would always see turkeys every year, and they ended up cutting a lot of the timber out, so they don't really hang out there anymore. But you could see them from the road,
sure.
and we would drive up by, and it was funny because it only happened in my dad's truck, maybe by coincidence.
They knew
but
the truck.
That's what,
Was that what it
that's
was?
all we could figure.
Now he's got that white thing. It don't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we would drive by, and these turkeys would gobble. We'd put the window down, and they would gobble at his truck, and then I would drive my truck up, and nothing would happen. And that was probably coincidence, but
You have biased turkeys.
for the
right?
sake of argument, turkeys like Toyotas. So I bought a Toyota the next year.
I got a Toyota.
So
right.
I think we're set this year, but you always hear guys slamming the door, or kicking a old swing set or whatever it is out back, slamming the screen door, and there's all kinds of stuff that'll make them gobble. They sound like they act like the dumbest bird, and then you
They got that little brain.
yeah,
They make you feel real
and
stupid real
every
quick.
call that you can throw at them,
That's it.
yeah. I did just find
Well, speaking of calls, I took the neighbor girl. I took her hunting once.
yep.
Started to rain. You know, the only call that bird would answer to was a box call.
Oh yeah.
You know how stupid I looked trying to hide a box call under my arm to keep it dry and call at the same time?
Yeah.
Listen, I was not a contortionist at any means, dude.
Nope.
I'm 6 foot 240. I'm not that bendy.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, it doesn't work that way. You know.
Yep. I know everyone can't see this, but
Oh my.
we might throw this on as the cover photo to this.
When was that?
That's not my first turkey. That was
You do look like you're 12, bud.
I know. That was in 2009. I was a year out of high school in that
Oh,
picture.
jeez.
But anyhow, that particular turkey, I hunted that thing 4 days in a row. And the day that I killed him, I didn't touch one of my calls.
Really?
And it was in this small, maybe like 10-acre patch, and it had like some little brushy fingers of woods, or I'm sorry, of field coming out from it, and the birds were flying down, landing. And it was the first week of the season, but they had a lot of hens with them, if I remember right. There was a couple gobblers in there, may have been a jake or two, but for being the first week of the season, they were pretty flocked up. But I came in and I tried to play it safe because I didn't know which exact tree he was roosting in, but I set up about 200 yards from him on a field edge where they were coming. Your typical decoys sitting against a tree type of hunt. And now, one of the reasons why it probably took so long as well, these were all pre-work hunts. I was going in for an hour before
Gotcha.
work
Yeah.
and whatever.
Yeah.
So I didn't get real aggressive. I kind of just, played it safe and got to get to work, so I didn't want to mess with too much. So set the decoys up. They gobbled, flew down, went the other way. That was day one. So then I think that happened on day two as well, so that would have been Monday. Then Tuesday, set up a little bit closer in the woods, tried to get a little better idea, and I think I had a guy come in on me.
Oh, okay.
And he kind of, got around me, and I backed off. I didn't want to, mess him up, and it was easier for me to get out of there than him, so I decided to just back out. Then I think the farmer may have saw those birds or something to where I knew they were still there after that guy was in there. So I went in the next morning, so this was the fourth morning, and these birds had been within 50 yards of the same tree every day there. And it was perfect setup. It rained the night before, so it was quiet as could be. I remember.
Isn't it wild how quiet it can get?
Yeah.
Like, it's like you
Yep.
want to say you could hear a pin drop, but you won't.
Yep.
Like, you can't hear it. Like,
Oh
there's like squirrels dancing through the woods from
Yeah.
from ground to ground. And you're like, I
Yep.
can see you, but I
Yeah.
can't hear you.
Yep. So, do you know Matt Ozio?
Oh yeah, I worked
Okay.
with him into the envelope
Yeah.
factory. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I was hunting with him. That
Okay.
that was with him on that picture. So he decided this morning he wanted to sleep in. I don't think he was feeling well or whatever. I said, all right, whatever. I'm heading by myself. So I knew I was going to have to try to get super close because these birds were doing what they wanted, and I essentially needed to be able to
Get in the way.
be one of their,
Yeah.
one of the first ones on the ground. So I can't remember. It would have been, they would have been gobbling by quarter till 20 till 6 or something
Oh
at the
wow.
time. I mean, in the first week, it's, early.
It's light early, right?
My butt was against a tree at 5 o'clock that morning. I remembered saying, it was overcast. It was quiet. I knew I was going to be have to get close to him. So I sneak in there, and I'm talking, I had my vest and my gun. That was it. I had a mouth call, but I, didn't plan on hopefully needing it much. Get in there, get set up against a tree, and I just sit there. I think I took a nap for a little while because I had an hour till breaking daylight, and I just remember I was sitting there at an old 870 pump, and I just start your eyes start adjusting, and you start to be able to see in the tree a little bit and everything, and I looked to my right, and I didn't really know. I kind of roughly knew what the lay of the land looked like here, but I wasn't 100%. But I knew it kind of was a flat, and then again it dropped off real steep. And I had in my head they were right on that edge of that bench again, and that seems to be a theme across the country. Anytime you can get that scenario, good chance they want to roost on it. So I was going off of that information, and it starts getting light out, and I look here like hard to my right, and I can see something in the woods. You don't know if it's a squirrel's nest or what it is. The more light it gets, I'm like, oh, that's a turkey. And I do the same thing to my left, and I see another one.
You're right in the middle of them.
I am smack dab in the middle of about
That's
15
awesome.
of these things.
That's awesome.
So, and at this point, they're not awake. I'm not jumping and running around, but I'm able to turn my head ever so slightly. And this is way close. Like I don't, I don't ever want to be this close, And so I'm like, and I could tell they were smaller, so I figured they were hens, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe they'll pitch down behind me, and the gobblers are somewhere to be found. And I just remember thinking like, when this thing gobbles, it's gonna like blow my hat off,
right?
And sure enough, it couldn't have been more than 60 yards from me, straight down over the hill, right where I thought. They went to the top edge of that little lip, bounced out into the tree, which put them below where I could see, really. And it ended up being two. And it was just like, this hen would cluck, everything that thing gobbled 100 times. And I just remember, thinking at some point I got to move to get my gun up, or like it's on my lap at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's been there since 5 o'clock. I'm like, I am not going to be able to shoot this turkey if it comes right in front of me. So I had to pick a time, whenever the hens were behind me, and I could hear them starting to get to where they were going to fly down, and they flew and landed like directly behind me. And I thought, I hope they don't come, to the Longbeards. And luckily, they were feeding out towards that field where I had set up, a couple times. And I think that's what they had been doing. It was just, the fact I was hunting them before work. I wasn't giving them enough time to get out there because I didn't have enough time to, wait it out. So finally, when they flew, I could tell they were a little bit farther away, and I had time to, throw my gun up, and I just pointed it, and my hearing wasn't as bad as it is now back then, and I could just hear, I could hear those birds fly out. They ended up, they were 60 yards in the tree, and when they flew and they landed 20 yards over that hump from me, I ended up being 15 yards from the top of this rim, and I would have preferred to not be, that close to it, but I didn't know where I was really in the dark, and luckily I didn't go any further, or they would have probably picked me out. You get that close, and you got to sit there,
Don't blink.
the time
right?
that the turkey might gobble, and sit there for a half an hour before he flies down. So, long story short, I guess, couple minutes goes by of the gobblers on the ground, and I got my gun pointed right in their direction, and pretty soon I see the two heads coming up over, and I knew there was probably a Jake or something in there, so I had to wait till I saw a beard. And again, Matt slept in this day. Two big long beards coming up full strut, heads a foot and a half apart, come right up over the hill, and they went behind a huge oak tree. I was able to swing my gun right over, and when he walked back out the other side of that, I whacked him, and of course we could have doubled up easily enough, but yeah, that was one that I'd say like I said, I didn't make a single call. I was right in the middle of them. I don't typically like to do that, but it just worked out, and I stayed patient with those birds and went 4 days without you know took me 4 days to kill one finally, but you know there was even other people hunting it. I
Right.
just happened to get lucky, I
Right
guess.
place,
But,
right time, right?
but yeah, so
Yeah, we did that again. Craig and I hunt together a lot. It's a good time.
mhm.
We sometimes laugh more than we hunt. I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely there's always something going on. We're going up this logging road, and it goes up to this turn and goes out across the crest of the mountain there. And we hear this bird gobble on the flat.
Mhm.
And I said to him, I'm like, man, that's a walk
Yeah.
all the way to the end to come back to top. And I'm like, he's like, what do you want to do? I said, well, we can either go supersonic up over the face of that mountain, or we can take our old asses up to the top and walk back to the top. And he goes, your call.
Neither one of those are fun. I've
No.
done them both, by the way.
Well, so in my mind, I'm thinking, we got this.
Yeah.
I said, we're going up.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what. 2/3 of the way up, I'm like hyperventilating. I look at him, I'm like, whose bright idea was this? I'm like,
Yep.
I'm about stroke material, right? And he's like, I believe it was you. And I'm like, this is great. So we get up there, and of course, crest the top, catch our breath, stand there for a minute. No birds. None. No gobbles.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, no, wait a second.
Been
I
there.
just about exploded my heart.
Mhm.
For what reason? I don't know. But guess what? We're up here now.
Yeah.
So we're up there. We walk around, check stuff out. Go out the same way we would have went the long way. Come back down to almost the same place we went up the mountain. They're in the gully across from us. Let me tell you what, that Benelli just about took a trip. I was about to tomahawk it right over to those birds.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, you want to talk about frustration, man?
Yep.
That was all about it. But hey, it's
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it. I just wish I really just wish I would have committed a long time ago
Yeah.
and just said, hey, I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
Because man, what a barrel of fun.
Oh yeah.
It's everything. It's just it's kind of like archery hunting.
Mhm.
It's a good time of the year to be out there. You're not bundled up. You don't feel like an Eskimo. You don't have to sit
Yep.
stationary forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good time of the
Oh, yeah.
time of the year.
Yep. Yeah. At the very least, you can scout around for deer and
Mushrooms.
Well, yeah, I guess.
There's people that like those little mushrooms.
Do the mushroom deal.
I mean that's part of it too. But call it an ulterior motive,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. There's plenty to be doing this time of year, but
That's it.
yeah, getting excited. I got one of my more extensive turkey years planned here for this year, so I'm super pumped for that. We're starting in Virginia and going from there to Tennessee and back home. Got a trip for Youth Day, then back here for our season, and headed to Michigan towards the end. So I'm anxious to hunt 3 new states that I've never hunted before, and just totally different types of terrain, and it should be a good time. I'm
Heck
looking
yeah.
forward to it, and got some new friends I'm going to be hunting with. We're going to be doing some video stuff with them, and hopefully we can knock some birds down, and if not, have a good time doing it.
Well, with the experience
So-
if you got, I mean that's volumes in itself. And like you said, when you can walk into a woods you never set foot in your life, and you can pull
Yeah.
a turkey out of it,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother shelf.
Yeah.
That's a whole.
Yep.
I mean, you and I have lived in that valley all of our life. We can see and know where and how, and
Yep.
I still can't get it done. I we always say one of these days, yeah, I'm gonna find that dumb one of these days.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Somebody hit that one with a
It'll
car
happen.
before I found it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know how many I went through, how many misses I had, and bad situations. I scared a few. I'll never forget every time I drive by the field that, Dad and I put a big hike on because we knew there were birds in this area, but we had to make another big giant loop around them, and it's right behind Mom's house, and he said, they're right up over the hill here. They're a couple hundred yards away. We gotta start being quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And he no sooner said start being quiet, and I think I stepped on the biggest, loudest stick on that ridge. And we crested the hill and those turkeys were running the other way, and we had to turn around and
you got the look,
take
right?
Yeah,
You got the
I think
look.
it's what they say. You can't hurt my feelings. I handed my dad the wrong tools when I was little.
That's
Well,
it.
yeah, you can't hurt my feelings because I've gotten that look about more times than I care to.
Nice.
But yeah, so that that happened way more times than I care to admit before I finally did connect on one. But so.
I can remember doing the same thing as a kid, walking through the woods with my Uncle Jack. You know, he was like, he'd stop dead in his tracks in front of me. He'd be like, listen, if you don't pick up your feet, you're not going to have feet to walk on.
Yep.
You know, I mean, and I'm like, as I stand here today, I'll never forget it. And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
You know, and then now I think the same way.
Oh,
I'm like, pick up your damn feet.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you sound like a freight train coming through the woods. Yeah.
It's funny because over the years I've hunted with, a lot of people with filming and just in general, and so you're always with someone different. So it takes like, a solid hunt or two before you kind of like figure out their style and whatever. And I've had that happen a couple times where I'm walking and I'm like, is this guy trying to scare the turkeys away? So now I'm thinking like, are they thinking the same about me? Like,
he's a professional leaf kicker, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Like, I mean, anyone that knows me knows that I cannot hear. I have the worst ears on the planet.
Amen. I'm there.
So
I have the paperwork to prove mine.
Yeah.
I do.
I don't have the paperwork,
I do.
but it's pretty dang close. But that's the one thing that struggle with every spring, and it's funny. It's like an ongoing joke at this point. Like between my dad and I, like we've sat there and he'll hear a turkey gobble and he'll look at me like with that look like, where was that at? And I'll be like, didn't hear it.
Where was what at? Right?
Yeah. And this happens all the time to us. And so then, like, I'll almost start to, like, he'll look and I can tell he heard one gobble and he'll look at me and I'll be like, yeah, I heard it. Knowing damn well that I didn't hear a thing, But so we started to figure out this little routine now that, when he hears a gobble, if I can't hear it, it might be 300 yards away. And then as I can start to hear it, now we know, okay, things are getting serious. It's within Mike's range. So it doesn't have to come that much closer before we can kill this thing. Because if I can hear it, it's within 200 yards and it's probably getting closer. So we've taken my, disability, we'll call it.
A disability? How about a disadvantage?
Disadvantage
There you go.
and lack of hearing, and turned it into a useful tool, I guess, of gauging distance on a turkey. So, I prepped Chase for this because him and I are going to be running around Virginia together. And I told him, I said, do not expect me to hear a turkey and do not get mad when I don't hear it. I said, whenever I don't need to hear them when they're 300 yards away. I want to hear them when they're 200 in closing. So, but
nice.
So yeah, so we're excited. We're gonna have a couple more turkey episodes here. I'm excited for some of the guys we're gonna have on here.
Yes. Yes.
This was just me and you BSing from a rookie perspective. I mean, some of the guys I have.
Me being the rookie. Yeah, you've actually killed him. I haven't.
Well, compared
to
our next couple guests, I'm a rookie as well. We're going to have just some downright nasty turkey killers on this next couple episodes here. So looking forward to giving, the listeners a peek into
absolutely
some other guys, and maybe they'll learn a little bit they can take into this spring and maybe help them.
If we're not learning, we're not doing it right.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
All right. We'll wrap her up.
The end.
All right. Thanks, everyone.